Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Thank y'all, everybody that's listening to a special thank you to our sister DJ Renee Melendez for being in the building with us. She said that was the first 45 she ever owned, so I figured I would honor our sister, play a little bit of Jersey City's own Cool in the Gang. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. Every song you hear is emanating from New Jersey. We're gonna show some love to our Jersey people. But before I show some love to my Jersey brother on the live line, I'm gonna show some love to one of the original voices here on Legacy Internet Radio. He gets embarrassed when I give him the love, so I'm gonna keep on doing it. I got my brother, the host of the Green Room version 2.0 with Jay Grizzy and Lissa P in the building. I got my brother Jay Grizzy Green in the room. What's up, brother?
Nothing much. Since y'all taking Jersey requests, we get some Red Man, please pick it up.
If I play Red Man, it's dirty.
Oh,
and I'm sitting over here trying to clean it up. So I think I did okay.
Okay.
There's certain people who we wish we could hear that we're not gonna be able to hear tonight.
I got you.
And Red Man might be one of them, but I think we'll do okay. You all right, man?
I'm great, man. Thanks for the brew, by the way.
Oh,
I came
man.
down here empty-handed. You hooked me up.
I'm always gonna hook you up. We brothers.
Thank you, sir.
That's what I'm talking about. And of course, going from my brother right here in Richmond to my brother in the ATL, my oldest friend in the whole world. He gets embarrassed when I say it, but I don't care because I'm mushy. My brother K-Dub is on the live line. What up, man?
Yo. What's going on, family? How y'all doing out there?
We doing all right, brother. You doing all right?
I'm good, man. Y'all can hear me? I'm good.
Yeah, we got you. We can hear you. Say peace to Renee. She's in the.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Renee? What's good in the hood, baby?
What's up, Kay? How are you?
I'm good. Y'all was taking me back when you started to talk about the club joints and Frankie Knuckles and of course, Jersey City's own Cool in the Gang.
No doubt. You was loving it, wasn't you?
Oh man, come on, man. I'm a lover of real music.
My brother. Ain't no half step on Marcus J. All right, listen, we're going to get into what we got you to get into. I had teased this segment as the segment where we're going to talk about some of these police-involved killings with these young black men. And there's so many stories out there that we can get into that we obviously won't have time to get into all of them. But the one that is on the tips of many tongues here in our country today is what happened to the young fella in Ferguson, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis, young Michael Brown. They call him Mike, 17 years old, who was shot 10 times by the Ferguson police. He was a 2014 graduate of Normandy High School. He was scheduled to begin classes at Vaterack College just on Monday, which is today. According to Dorian Johnson, he was walking with Brown when an officer confronted them and drew his weapon. Quote, "He shot again. Once my friend felt the shot, he turned around and put his hands in the air." This is what Johnson said. He started to get down, and the officer still approached with his weapon drawn and fired several more shots. His grandmother obviously said he was a good kid, and I would expect that many of the family members would, in fact, say that. I don't think that whether he was a good kid or not is relevant to the fact that he was unarmed when he was shot. So, Dub, I want you to get in here first. You and I have talked about this at length over the last day or so, and I'm sure that many of the angles that you and I touched on will be touched on in this discussion when we bring Renee and we bring Grizzy in. But why don't you start it off? What you got, man?
Where does it end? I was talking to you as well. If we really think about it, we look at, over the past, let's say, month and a half, it seems like this is a weekly occurrence. You have the situation with the guy up in New York that gets choked out. Maybe the day later, you see another a pregnant female get choked out. You have instances where the dude over the weekend was in Walmart and gets actually shot and killed because he had a play gun.
Yeah.
It's just happening on just so much of a frequent basis that it makes you wonder what the hell is going on.
Let me just let the listeners know what you're speaking of. You're talking about John Crawford, 22 years old. He was carrying an air rifle in a Walmart earlier this week, actually last week. The mother of his children said that she was speaking to him by the cell phone when he was confronted by the police in the store. He said he was playing in there, playing video games. They went over to the section where there are toy guns. The next thing you know, he said it's not real, and the police started shooting, get on the ground. But they had already began to shoot him. And all you could hear was him crying and screaming. Grizz, I want you to jump in here at this point. Tell me what's your thoughts. I mean, we just laid out 2 cases of unarmed black men who are shot by the police. What's your thought? What's your thought on that?
Just to give some historical sense for everybody that's listening about police brutality, and I'm not talking about historical sense from the civil rights era or even prior to the civil rights era. Police in the community, policing in America has always been done by or been chosen by the white, either the white elite or the white politicians or even the working white stiff, so to speak. You could go to New York when you had all the immigrants. You had the Irish were known to be policemen. Everybody was policemen except for us.
Right.
You know, and when you come from that sort of entitlement where, first of all, this is our country and we'll police it how we say we want to police it. And then when you get to the point where other minorities are included in this quote-unquote democracy and you want to police them, a lot of times, shout out to KRS-One Black Cop, we're not policing ourselves, so we leave the policing to the folks who already got a predisposed outlook on us.
Right.
You know, and it's let's call it what it is. It is racism, and I'll wrap up my point to give it back to you, Mark. On my way down here, I was listening to Sean Hannity, who if anybody don't know who he is, he's a conservative talk show radio host, and the point of view he was speaking from, let all the evidence come out, let everybody's jumping to conclusions. The same thing that happened with the Trayvon case for folks who are arguing that case. And that's easy for you to say if you have never been harassed by the cops, shot at by the cops, or have a history as a people, as a group, as a whole with police. So for you to sit there and say that, you almost, in essence, you're being a racist by proxy,
right,
is what I'm saying.
You know, I have Steppin with Marcus J. We got Jay Grizzy and K-Dub with us on the live line. Of course, our special guest is DJ Renee Melendez. Let me get you in here now, Renee. You heard the setup. We talked about the young fella in St. Louis, and obviously K-Dub alluded to the another situation in Ohio where guys just basically playing with a gun in the store that they're selling. You can't play with a gun in a store where they're selling the toy gun in the store, and he gets taken out. As you hear these stories, you and I also have spoken of these things at length. Jump in here with your initial statement.
I think that the cops are taught to kill. I think that they're not encouraged to be fair or to ask questions. They're taught if you feel immediately threatened, draw your gun and shoot. I think that that's pretty much the bottom line of what's going on. They don't ask questions. They jump to conclusions, and they just start, aiming. And unfortunately, lives are being taken. They don't care. Yeah.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. I want to go ahead and introduce the last story that I had here where we were talking about police and how they have been just some stories in the news recently where, they're killing people. And K-Dub and I talked about this. I wanted to get you, Dub, to comment on this first. You can comment on the story that I'm about to read or just the whole discussion holistically. But this one is about a Tulsa, Oklahoma teenager who is a white girl. She's a daughter of 2 police officers. She turned in her parents. She turned in her parents because she said that her dad shot her boyfriend to death in the street and then fired at her as she cowered behind a bush. Her mother was in the passenger seat when her father got out of the car and started shooting. Shannon and Gene Kepler, both 24-year veterans of the Tulsa Police Department, were arrested late Tuesday after they turned themselves in while accompanied by their attorney. A sobbing Lisa Kepner, 18 years old, told reporters, quote, "I hope they rot in prison for a very long time." She called the police and reported the incident. "I turned my dad in," she said. The body of Jeremy Lake was found in the street in front of his home where he and Lisa Kepler had been living. According to the daughter, she and Lake were walking home when a black SUV pulled up and her dad got out shouting at her. I walked away and Jeremy tried to introduce himself and my dad shot him. Lisa said she ran behind a bush and hid when her father fired shots at her and then sped off. The dad, of course, is accused of first-degree murder and shooting with the intent to kill. Mom is accused of being an accessory. The daughter said the parents kicked her out of the house the week before and dropped her in front of Tulsa Day Center for the homeless. She met Lake there and they began dating. He offered her a place to stay at the home where they shared. Now, what this article, and I've seen this across the web, but I like this one because it kept out one very, very important detail. And I didn't like it because it kept out that detail, but when I say I like it, I'm saying it with air quotes.
You ain't even got to tell me.
I'm saying it with air quotes. That one important detail, K-Dub, that they kept out was that Mr. Lake was a black man. And Lisa is a white girl, and her parents are white parents, and they're cops. And so I need to know. Now, if you look at him, he's not your traditional dark-skinned chocolate brother. He looks like he's probably mixed. But he's still a young brother nonetheless.
Don't matter if you got a drop.
He's still a young brother nonetheless. So, Dub, I want you to comment on this one first because I can't remember if it was you or Renee or Grizzy, but someone actually was Renee who said they're trained to shoot. Do you think this man's police instinct kicked in when he seen this young brother with his daughter, or is he just being a dad acting a damn fool?
No, I think his racial stigmatism kicked in regards to this situation. I think that in regards to him being a police officer, that just allowed him to have access to the firearm. But I think probably the whole thing of his daughter being with a black man may have kind of pushed him to that particular point. Which with this particular case, as well as other cases where you see police brutality, is their underlying profile of men. I think that with this case and many others is that it's a situation where the police officer has a sense of authority, and who is this black man, black teen, black woman, or whatever, to question my authority. What I say goes. And I would say that probably happens more than a number of times that we could probably count. It just speaks to the crazy mindedness of people that's not. I don't even know. I can't even. You know what? I can't even really put it into words, man, because it's outrageous. It's just outrageous, man.
Jump in here, Renee. What you think?
It's really unfortunate that her father and her mother, are going through that kind of drama to shoot somebody because their daughter was with a black man. But it also goes to show that racism is still very, very much alive and well in this country. And I've had battles and arguments over the past couple of weeks on my Facebook page with people who are white, and they're like, oh, racism doesn't exist, and I'm not racist.
Easy
and
for you to say.
I don't think that way. But at the end of the day, would they want their child or their children to be with a black man or a black woman? Most likely not.
Right.
So I guess for me, are the parents going to be held on child endangerment for trying to shoot their own daughter? Are they going to be charged with attempted murder for trying to shoot their own child?
That's crazy, Grizz.
Let you know how deep it run. They willing to kill their daughter.
Yeah.
Because she getting a pipe. But that's what it is.
And she not smoking it at this time. As she joins us, I always like to show my sister love. We know that she joins us usually within the first 30-40 minutes of the show, and she's here. I got my co-host that just walked into the building. I got S.Y. Butler. What's up, girl?
I'm here.
Yeah, she
got the good snacks.
Yeah, she always got good snacks. And whatnot. Her snacks are usually like green and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
tea
saying?
stuff with you tonight.
I know you guys know this, but there's a certain time of the month.
Oh, hell no.
Where
I'm
I
not
just
sure how-
like
I'm
a
not sure.
little snack.
No, okay.
She got coffee
You like
and
chocolate? Do you like chocolate?
Actually, I tried to make.
That whole time of the month thing
That's
is
that tea.
right up there with
Lemonade.
TMI. Because now I got to look
Okay.
at you
I'm
funny.
like if Starbucks can.
Now I'm looking at you funny though, like
baby.
because you just told me like more than I needed to know about you.
You're a dude. I'm a girl. These are things that we know. They're a part of life.
Yeah, I know, but
I didn't tell you anything.
you do
that's
realize
not
in
a
some
secret.
phase you get sent down the hall where you got to stay for like a week though, right?
Yeah, that's what they used to do.
Anatomy 101.
Don't come in here. You stay in there.
She'd be like the
Such a
girl
big
on I Get You
secret
Sucker.
Yeah.
that you don't even notice.
Yeah. Well, now I notice. Now I'm gonna be looking at you like.
Well,
okay, if I say this, like I'm not scared of you, so I will say what I
As
need to
long as she
say.
don't hulk up
you
and
can
start
say
snapping.
I
what
will
you
say what I need to
say.
say. All right, listen,
You can.
let's jump back. Dub, I want to introduce something to the discussion that we have not talked about, and one of those things I'll just kind of set it up by saying, when I turned on the television this morning, I didn't see anything about Mike getting killed.
Mike.
That was what they called him, so that's what we
That's
gonna
what
call
we
him.
gonna
That's
call
what
him.
we gonna call him. Mike Brown. We didn't see anything about him getting killed in the news story, but what we did see is the people in Ferguson and St. Louis. I mean, we'll call it St. Louis for the rest of the discussion. It's easier to say that. We seeing them out there rioting and looting, acting crazy. Doug,
Trying to come up.
what you got to say about all that, bruh?
Well, here's the thing, man. I know you and I discussed it earlier today, and let me preface this by saying, look, in no way, form, or fashion does me, K-Dub, condone rioting and looting stores in your own area, in your own neighborhood.
Right.
But in this and many other situations, I understand. Here's why. All right, I'm gonna just throw it out. I'm gonna throw history on this. Back in during the Watts riot, Dick Gregory made a quote basically saying, "You don't go to a crying baby and tell them to be quiet. So you have to find out exactly what's wrong with that baby." So in this particular situation with people during the Watts riot throwing bricks, you got to figure out why is it that they're throwing bricks. If just throwing bricks for whatever, if this was the case, why weren't they rioting weeks ago?
Right.
I'll take another quote from Dr. King. Dr. King basically said that riots are the actions of the unheard. These people, as well as many other people that we know that we probably interact throughout these inner cities, they're tired and they're fed up. Enough is enough. And granted, there are ways to express your dissatisfaction with what's going on, but when you have groups of individuals that are when you get a whole bunch of black people getting shot and getting brutally harassed by the cops or whatever, at some point you're gonna lash out. Unfortunately, they're lashing out within their own community. But again, I don't demean them for doing that. Look at it like this. What's the formula of a riot? Why do individuals riot? Because they're angry and they want change. They're tired of the same old. So, in this particular situation, again, I'm not condoning it, but I fully understand why they're doing what they're doing.
But to keep it real, okay.
In Missouri, I'm sorry, I can even give you facts. In Missouri, the Attorney General said that black people are 66% more likely to get stopped. Black and Latinos are more prone to get stopped more than whites, even though statistically the white people in that community are the ones with the contraband.
These issues in communities like this, I hear what you're saying, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm going to agree somewhat to disagree because I'm going to tell you why. Half of these people, they demand change, they want change, and yes, we all know it's not fair and it's unjustified, but you have to get out there and vote when it comes time for your elected officials to be put in office. All the way up from your mayors, your senators, your congressmen, to the president, your sheriffs, your board of education. Right. You can't make a change if you're sitting on your front porch complaining about why things aren't changing.
Well, let me ask you this, Renee, to play devil's advocate. Just recently at that in that area, the chief was just fired because he basically told the cops to profile more Black and Latino individuals. Now, I'll ask you this: I definitely agree with voting on a local level because you need to vote in the people that are going to help you, directly. But what about these situations where you may not, you're basically picking the best of two evils, or B, you're dealing with individuals that once they get into this particular position, they get a little bit of that payola, or they get a little bit of that, hey, you do this for me, I'll do this for you, or you get those individuals in a situation where even though they want to make change, the system is the engine is already running in that way, and whatever change that they may want to implement is just going to get pushed to the side. Now, there are those situations like that, and a lot of times it's in the inner city.
You're exactly right, and I'm gonna use our hometown as a reference because in Jersey City, when Mayor Fulop got in, the first person to go was the chief of police.
Y'all had a white chief of police
Yeah, we did.
in Jersey City.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
What
and
you,
he
you know that
went.
word is banned on this shit. This ain't the green room,
shit,
man. What's
shit,
wrong
my
with you?
bad. I thought, don't you drop the F-bomb?
No.
Oh, my bad, my bad.
She got fussed at when she did it,
Unless I
man.
say-
Those
French fries.
those leaders in that area, to my knowledge, as of what's the time right now, 7:38, the mayor nor the police chief had even met with the family.
In St. Louis?
In St. Louis.
Yes, they have yet to meet with the family. Yet, as well as a report maybe about an hour or two ago said that they would release the identity of the police
shooter.
officer within 24 hours.
So basically,
why are you doing that? Now, keep in mind, if this something that Dick Gregory said earlier today was that, why haven't they tested this man for drugs and alcohol? The longer that they do not bring this man forward, one, whatever drugs and alcohol in his system could dissipate, or they're coaching him, or, it would just raise so many questions in this particular case.
well, we just sat here and we talked about two cases just this week. Just this week, we talked about two cases, and if you add the parents of the girl who's dating a black man, then you can say three. We haven't talked about Eric Garner. We haven't talked about that. And then if we talk about Detective Santiago, and I'm going to call him detective because he was posthumously promoted to detective, Santiago in Jersey City, when he was murdered by the man in the street outside the Walgreens on Communipaw Avenue, there has been some talk that police officer's murder was in retaliation to the cops killing a kid in the hood. So, I will never, under any circumstances, condone killing anybody. That's just not something I'm ever going to do. However, we made a huge to-do about Detective Santiago being murdered, as we should. But it buried the story about how the Jersey City Police Department killed, was it one boy or two boys, Renee?
One.
Dove? It was one. Okay.
It was
one.
on Kearney Avenue.
Kearney, yeah.
But he had warrants, and they were chasing him, and they kept asking him to stop running, and he kept running, and they caught him in this shed, and I guess he tried to run again, and the cop shot him. And according to what I've heard was, he said, "Why did you shoot me?" And the cop said, "Well, why did you make me chase you?"
What? I want to break it down on a deeper level to the mind. If y'all can indulge me for a moment.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead, Grizzly. The floor is yours, my brother.
Thank you. The mind of
Just don't drop the F-bomb again.
I'm gonna try not to. I swear, I'm gonna try not to. But to the mind, 'cause I know cops. I know a lot of white cops. White cop live maybe. You crush it on you. Might live maybe 4 doors down from me. I pass his house every morning, every time. See him in the store, see him in the neighborhood. Even though he seems like a good, nice neighbor, he's predisposed because he's on, like we like to say down south, he's from the other side of the fence. And I'm not to say that other folks can't empathize or understand the plight of minorities or the situation of minorities in America, but I can tell you, if I was white and I grew up with a sense of entitlement that I can do white flight because the old neighborhood I grew up in. Y'all remember when Jersey City was probably an all-white city, at least, or or
If you go to the
It's
Heights.
been divided.
it's been
If you
divided.
go up to the
If you
Heights.
went
You know
on
what
the
I'm
west side, it was white. If you went up in the Heights, it was white.
Yeah.
Downtown
But if you come down to
was all
Green,
Spanish.
downtown was Spanish, you come to Greenville or the Hill,
Right.
It was the hood.
it was us.
Oh,
Look. So we just hearing that. We all know how white flight plays a part in how white people during segregation and after the civil rights era has wanted to separate themselves from minorities in and of itself.
Right.
So when you then say to yourself, you're going to go into your cul-de-sac community out in Nyack or out in Chesterfield.
Wow,
or
did you say Nyack?
Nyack.
That's New York,
I've been
man.
to Nyack.
That's
Yeah.
New York.
I
man.
know what it is.
That
or-
ain't Jersey.
Or out in Westchester.
Thought we was talking about
Philly.
Jersey, man. What's
I'm
wrong
just
with
saying
you,
for
man?
folks to kind of put it in there.
See how you do?
If
He
you
was
go
trying
back,
to diversify.
He's trying. He's
if
trying.
you go back and do the knowledge and do the history, like the neighborhood that I grew up in 75 years ago was all white.
Right.
As soon as a white owner sold to a black person, they all left. And they all left to the suburbs. And the cats that police that neighborhood did not live in that neighborhood. Like it used to be, your copper was a copper that was on your block.
street,
Yeah.
You know, and so with that all that did was teach the cat that's now the policeman. Let's say he's 25 to 40 years old. If his folks moved him out of the neighborhood that he would have grew up in and been surrounded by other cultures,
Right.
and all he got to go to the best university, or got to go to the best police academy, and then all of a sudden he sees somebody that don't look like him, somebody who
That changes it up a little
that
bit.
changes it up a little bit, and that's why he can say, "Why you run?" But you got a gun, copper.
Yeah.
If you got a gun and I'm not armed, and this kid, Mike, and
The kid in Ohio.
St. Louis,
Yeah.
he's not armed. I don't know why cops, no matter what race you is why you feel like you always threatened, especially when a black man is in there. A black man is
Well,
who you arresting.
I'm gonna
why
tell
you
you.
feel like you got to
I'm
shoot him?
gonna tell you why he feels threatened. I'm gonna tell you why he feels